full name again?
My name is Mary Ropka, R-O-P-K-A. So I come to the Botanical Garden because I live in the Greenbrier neighborhood. So this is really a part of my neighborhood. And I see it as being a place that will provide a lot of resources to people in the neighborhood of all ages, children, adults, older people, to do many different things. Traditionally, I think people think about a botanical garden as being a really fancy place in a big city. But I think this botanical garden is making a real effort to be a place where people can come to exercise, to be outside, to learn. There'll be lots of educational opportunities, in addition to the more traditional things that a botanical garden offers.
Okay, where did you come from? What's your name, first of all?
So, my name is Mary.
I'm running out of battery.
That's okay. I'll talk fast. Hablo lentamente. Rápido. My name is Mary Ropka, and I live over on Meadowbrook Heights Road. So from my house, I walked down a block to the intersection of Meadowbrook Heights and Grove. I got on the trail, the triangle trails, and I walked the whole way here for 20 minutes in the woods. I got off the trail right over there at Charlottesville High School, walked over the railroad tracks.
That's sustainable.
That's sustainable walking.
And now you have an atmosphere that you can trust is going to give you clean air. And you can see and be one with the birds, and it's in your city.
It's in my city, and I just said to Jill, the executive director, one of the things that I'm in public health, so one of the things that we may have learned, one of the good things that we may have learned because of the pandemic is how many things we can do outside. We don't need big fancy structures, and it's healthy. It brings people together. Lots of great things.
And we didn't know what we didn't have until we stopped and smelled the flowers.
Right.
Is that right? But it was a miracle, but also a gift that we got a vaccine. But also now we need to, own up, right? We need to start looking at our environment and stop wasting, inadvertently putting more, heat into the atmosphere and that sort of thing. And the Botanical Garden is regenerative, right?
Correct. So I've been volunteering here throughout the past year at different points in time, trying to help create some of the trails and all those sorts of things. And I'm also on the executive committee of the Greenbrier Neighborhood Association. And so I try to promote the garden, the Piedmont Botanical Garden.
How did you decide to do all that? You said, nobody's doing anything, I gotta do something, and then you actually become...
I decided to do all these things because I retired.
Yeah, but no, the association, they just travel when they retire. Why did you join the association? Why did you become associated, the Neighborhood Association? Because Obama was Neighborhood Association, and I was Neighborhood Association in the city where I came from. And the reason is why?
Oh, I guess to try to promote better lives for people. And my particular interest is being focused on health and promoting health for people in my neighborhood.
Because you know what the process is, right?
Correct.
And you're like, well, if I don't do it, who's going to do it?
Right, yeah. So, and it was a way to make a difference, try to make a small difference.
It's a big difference, isn't it?
Whereby,
people in your neighborhood start to focus on what they can do also because you started that.
Right. So I can be the link between the Botanical Garden and the Greenbrier neighborhood. Greenbrier neighborhood has 900 residences in it.
Whoa.
It's a really big neighborhood. Lots of people, and actually you'd be surprised at how diverse it is because of where it is.
And it's very treesy, and there's a lot of teachers, professors that live there, as well as engineers from different departments and stuff like that. But it's a traditionally not transient neighborhood. It's like people actually are stewards, right?
I think for the most part that's true, that people tend to live there for...
If they know what to do.
Sure. Yeah, right.
What's your name, your full name again?
My name is Mary Ropka, R-O-P-K-A.
And say thank you for coming to the Botanical Gardens and being on Public Access TV.
Thank you for coming to the Botanical Garden, Piedmont, and being on Public Access TV in Charlottesville.
Thank you.
Have a great day.
I want to tell you, I'm also Charlottesville Public Access TV. I did a series from 2019 when they started. Okay. It's on YouTube, but can I put you on YouTube today?
Sure.
Laura, I got 23 minutes. All I need is 26. Do you want to say anything?
I'm so happy everybody's here at the garden. Robin, my friend.
And what do you do here?
I'm the director of development.
You certainly are. Yeah. And did you invite Laura?
We invited Lori. She's a special guest of ours at our Botanical Art Festival. Lori's out of Michigan. She and her husband are here visiting just for a few days. We have about 8 pieces in the garden that she has loaned to us through the beginning of November. So come back, see it. It'll be up and open to the public. And also come at dusk. Right now it's in the afternoon, but as you come at dusk, the pieces dance in a different sort of way. So come experience it multiple times.
Okay, well thank you for your time.
You're welcome.
So they're very light. They're on aluminum year round, right? So
no rust.
And your lanterns are they're really light. They're framed in aluminum, mounted, and then placed in the garden. So we have like a zero impact on the garden. When we pull them out, you can just plant new plants there for them. But I love when they just pop out of the garden like this. And sometimes when the pieces stay in a show for a year, then the plants will take over and start to grow around them, and they become part of the landscape. And I love that. I think that's great. It's great. Any questions?
Yes. Is this going to be a permanent collection?
This is only here till November 2nd.
And then we have to buy it?
If you'd like to buy it, it'll stay here with a plaque with your name on it, I'm sure. They have a lot of plans for the garden at the Piedmont here, where they're going to be doing a lot of renovations, and this is, just the beginning of this garden, which I think is really wonderful to be hosted here. Okay.
So, can I ask also, technically, how long would one of these images take you, soup to nuts?
It depends. Everything's different. The photograph happens in the studio, and sometimes the plant life obeys, and other times it doesn't. And even if I'll be collecting plants, I may let them dry a little or wilt and see. So, some things I might come up to that pot a year later and photograph it. And some you might lay down and they just work beautifully. So I work in, like I said, a dark studio, and I play music, and I kind of call the process dancing with plants, because you'll see in some of the pieces I bend them to my will a little bit, but I'm not a big Photoshop manipulator. I like the images to really stand out. I probably have to just Photoshop dust and pollen, and sometimes an insect that will crawl out of a plant, and which spiders have, I have to say. So it's just a process, right? And then I send it out to a lab, and they print. My lab is in San Francisco, and they print the images, and I can go up to 48 by 96. So, and I love that you usually might walk over these things, right, and not recognize them. So hopefully as you're walking through the garden, you can really pay attention to the small things all throughout the year, whether they're in bloom or whether they're not, right? And just look at that beautiful architecture that plant life has.
Can I also mention that I think because of your education, you're more an artist than you are like a technician, in the sense that you're considering everything in the environment when you do the plant life, right? It's a different take than just being a technician, so to speak, like somebody holding a camera. I
have a thing I say to all my students, and that is, it's not the camera. it's not the computer, it's the person who's using that machine. And it doesn't matter what it is. I mean, it's like using a paintbrush, right? The camera is my tool. And so really when we started school, the first thing they did was had us bring out all our, the Nikons and the Canons and the big lenses. And our professor walked around and was like, nice 600 millimeter lens, whatever. And he was really nice. And then he said, okay, you're going to put it all away for 6 months. And here is your Diana camera that cost $1, and it was plastic, and it had sunny, shady, and dark. And we had to tape it up with roll film, right, to take pictures. So you learned right away that it is how you see things, and, it's your eye. It's really not the technique or, there's so much that the computers can do for us now, and it's going to get even crazier with AI, that there's a lot of people that are getting back to film, real film photography. So the other thing that I always use is the more I shoot, the luckier I get. Because there's so many angles and so many, the lighting, the time of year, how that flower really, or the petals start to roll over and move. So yeah, it is like kind of my little dance with plants.
Are you still using film?
What?
Are you still using film?
No.
No.
Digital.
Not at all.
It's all digital now.
Okay.
Because I can go so large.
I thought maybe you'd do both.
Yeah, I mean, I sometimes I do, but it all goes to a lab now, and really the science of photography is what hooked me in the beginning, and I went screaming and dragging to get digital. I mean, like, no, and they kept asking me, when are you going to switch to digital? And my first digital camera, this is an ad for American Express. Now, I bought it, and I put the strap on, and I walked out of my studio, and it fell off the strap and broke. So I was like, see, I'm not ready. And then I took that camera with my daughter to her senior trip. She and I went alone to Paris, and that's all I took. So I was like, I have to use this camera. I have to embrace it. I have to, get to know it. And now, of course, like these phones too are insane what kind of pictures they'll do. But yeah, I have embraced it fully, because otherwise, my images wouldn't be able to be this large and kind of do what they do. Okay. I'm sure everybody knows Ansel Adams, right? The famous photographer, and I got to be the bartender at one of his shows in Birmingham, Michigan, where we live. And, somebody came up, everybody's asking him questions, and he says, what is your, you photograph these beautiful landscapes, and, what is your inspiration? And he said, Jack Daniels. So yeah, it isn't the, the camera. Who knows what the inspiration is, but. So this cute lavender was part of a series that I did with my daughter, Sarah, who's an acupuncturist and a Chinese herbal medicine doctor. She studied in China, and she and I had a show together on healing plants and herbs at the University of Michigan Hospital. So we had ginkgo and calendula and aloe. There was probably about 14 pieces in that show, and lavender was one of them.
How did you make it so 3D looking?
So the way I shoot, of course, is, and I can show it better on another image. The first one's a perfect example, but whatever's in the foreground is lit and in focus. And then there's a really shallow depth of field, and anything that goes beyond that is out of focus and dark. So a question I get all the time is, can you do this on white? And I'm like, no, because it wouldn't disappear into that black, rich background. And I just love Dutch painting. So that kind of chiaroscuro, that, voluptuous kind of blacks that you have all the objects and still lifes fade into, that's what I love.
Lori, will you mention what we were talking about earlier with the light and time of day?
Oh, so the pieces do look like, as you'll see with even more, that they're glowing. like especially on the first one. This one is a little more of a flat plane, but when like you don't really need to light these if they're in your home or on your wall or whatever, or even outside. As the sun goes down, they still pop. You know, they'll have a little different feeling in the background, but they really have this appearance of being lit from behind because of the lighting that I do. So come back and visit the garden at dusk. I think you're open just past dusk.
Well, yes. So that's what you were saying earlier. Dusk is a great time for locals to come back and see
It really
her work.
is. And that time of day when it's darker, it will too blend in the environment a little more.
I like how you guys put all the natural things.
You know, so many of the botanical gardens are planned, and the gardens are very methodically set out with plants. And what I love about the Piedmont here is, you know, you're just in the woods, and you have these different beautiful gathering areas that are going to expand, I guess, as the gallery continues to grow. So I can hear you have red cedar, which was also part of the medicinal plants. Oh look, so see, there's a little bug on here right now. And they're so real and vibrant that literally insects are like, can I eat this? You know, banging their head on the piece. And that show is a permanent exhibit, the Morton. So I came during every season to photograph the trees, the branches, right? Their pods when they were blooming, and then as they turned into like seed pods. So I had the whole year of their evolution, make a portfolio for the garden, and then they picked which ones they would plant out near those plants or those trees, so that if you did come to the garden and the magnolias weren't in bloom, here you would see these, you know, lovely photographs. And they have, over the past years, changed up some of the images. So I'm still working with them on an ongoing basis. Any questions?
Yeah, so how much would it cost us to buy that?
This piece?
Yes.
I think 5,000.
We're going to have to do a lot of campaigning.
Yes, you are. I also lease the images to, some gardens for a certain period of time, and so that's the work on metal. I also do work on paper. So I would say, my work goes from $200 to $15,000, $20,000. Just depends. I just did a giant installation in Laguna that was 6 pieces that were 48 by 96 of that succulent, and we made it into a cube. Wow. And it's the entrance to a corporation there, Glaucos. So it's this giant cube. It's incredible.
Awesome.
They have an outdoor workspace, so we put some pieces along their trail where they have an outdoor, computer spaces and meeting places. It's really beautiful. We finished that in September. It was fun. My work very often, if there aren't stems coming in from the bottom, can be vertical or horizontal. And when we brought this here, I was thinking it would be over here, kind of horizontal, but the big trees and the space and the beautiful plants around it, it demanded to be upright.
It's gorgeous with the sun hitting it too.
And this was from I had a client that wanted a piece in her garden, patio, and so it was 48 by 96, I think, and there were like those glass fences that people use now. You have to get it for your condo or whatever. She couldn't stand it. So she's like, well, people from the road are going to see this metal in the background. Should we do another one? I'm like, yes, we should. So she has this piece on the back, and on the front, this dismanthus. So when you drive up into the complex, you see one of my pieces. And then she had the garden literally designed around that piece being part of the seating area and planted all these plants around it, which I love because then it'll engulf the piece. Too. Yes.
So, I'm sorry to bug you, but I'm an artist, painter, plein air. Anyway, so the other thing about your pieces people may not know is that it's the composition. It's also about capturing the details and all that, but you put it on a rectangular space and it's dancing, it's live, and yeah, I just want to say that's what
Thank you.
That's why I'm excited about it. Usually I'm not excited about photography, still photography, flowers, this and that, but you've composed it so well. Great.
Flowers are really one of the most photographed things. So to do something different is kind of, it's difficult because, everybody loves to photograph flowers and plants. So just in this technique and actually putting them back in the garden, it just really makes me happy. Isn't this space great? Yeah. What are they going to be doing here? Tell us a little bit.
The labyrinth was created by an Eagle Scout, a girl Eagle Scout. We're hoping to keep this. Ruben back over there is our expert in contemplative spaces. We're hoping to keep this. It may not be exactly here, but we are building another labyrinth.
You can really see the technique here, where whatever's in the foreground is lit sharp, and then everything else kind of fades. And I also love how the leaves just started to curl and turn. So I'm all about the motion of this, right? To just take you through the composition and hopefully find something, interesting whenever you look at it, right? Little details. I also like botanical drawings, like in the Victorian age and whatnot, where you have a plant that has the pod and then the open bloom and then maybe a fading bloom to kind of show that whole metamorphosis of the plant. So that's kind of what I was looking for here too, with the closed buds and then the fully open.
So you would take that back to your studio and you would shine the light on it the way you wanted to get that perfect.
Yep.
So there was a frog here making comments. I just want you to... It's so alive that the frog had comments.
That's so great. Well, really though, I'm telling you, birds have sat on them, bugs have been just really attracted to them, and really when you're going through the garden, like we see plants, and luckily now we have apps where we can name them because that's always so hard. And but I'm getting to learn a lot from all the botanists I work with, which is really interesting to me. Kind of like a minor in botany now, which I love. But also to just, to be able to sit here and reflect and, not just walk right by, right? Or a lot of times when we go for a walk, we're doing it for exercise. And we're going so fast, we're like, how many steps have I done, to get through here? So to just have that meditative kind of presence and honor really how amazing nature is, and how much respect we have to give nature, and especially these days, with everything changing, right? Yeah. Little Veronica, and usually she's about 40 by 80. Wow. And then you really get this sloping, design that almost reminds me like of a music class or usually that speedwell that stands straight up, nice and high. Kind of venture to my will. Amazing. Yeah, I like this one that it almost feels like it's black and white, yet it has that little bit of green in the image. Yeah. So my images can go, they can be printed any size as long as they're the same ratio, proportion. And there's a huge difference with this being laying on whatever fabric you bring or far away.
That's what most photographers do, land.
People do it even when they're photographing people. A group of people, what do? They all back up against a brick wall, taking a picture. And then it's like the brick, the shadows, and everything. So as long as people, like I tell them, take 2 at least giant steps and then let's photograph you. Because then any shadows or anything are going to fall behind them and that background's going to be a little out of focus. So it's all about that depth of field. And your phones do have portrait setting on them. You just have to be careful because, you know, you can buy like an $8 tripod or monopod, and it's totally worth it if you're going to be doing that because the plants move and you move, and as we get older, you know, move. So it's a really great investment on Amazon or $7.99. No. But really, if you're going to do it, to have that for your phone, because that's the one thing you'll see, and to have really good lighting. This is the third thing, is not to zoom in, okay? You be the zoom lens. So instead of standing here, you know, and zooming in from over there, once you blow that picture up, it's gonna be grainy and full of pixels. But if you're the lens and you walk up to it, even on the wide setting on the phone, and take that picture, you're gonna have a much sharper picture, and you can crop it later. But if you crop in the phone, you're not gonna have the same quality.
Really enjoyed it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for being on Charlottesville Public Access TV.